Yeah, am I overthinking this? Hey there, welcome to my channel, String Things by Mel. My name is Melissa. I also go by Mel. I'm a stay-at-home mom living in Vancouver, Canada, and on this channel I chat and share everything about my knitting hobby. So this year I made it a goal of mine to be more mindful and intentional when it comes to knitting items which will be added to my wardrobe. So earlier this year, I released a couple of videos related to building my knit wardrobe. The first one was assessing and determining what sort of gaps I have in my current wardrobe and if I could knit anything to fill those gaps. And from that assessment, I determined that I am lacking in cardigans, sweaters, and light tops. I feel like I might have said a fourth thing, but I can't remember. I didn't watch my own video again for this. But that's what I'm feeling I need to add, and that I could add with knit items, not just store-bought items. The second video is my reviewing my knit wardrobe video, where I actually conducted performance reviews on some items I knit for myself last year. Now, those reviews were focused on the function and wearability of the garments and not of the actual pattern, whether it was a good pattern or not. So I've created some criteria to help me choose the right pattern before I kind of welcome a new piece to my wardrobe. So this criteria is more so for kind of my everyday items, things that I think I'm going to keep for years, hopefully years and years to come. Because on the other side of, my knit hobby, I do see this as entertainment. It brings me joy. So I definitely have projects which I knit just for the sake of knitting because there's a new technique, construction, or I'm trying out a new yarn. Perhaps it's in a color that I normally wouldn't wear, or I'm knitting a gift or things for my daughter. So the criteria I'm going to share today doesn't apply to those. It also doesn't apply to any sort of fancy or special occasion knits that I could potentially make. Just as the name suggests, special occasion, for me that implies fewer wears. So those items are going to have different kind of criteria, different requirements and needs. So this is for kind of my typical lifestyle, mom duties, hanging out with family and such. So things that I consistently see myself doing now and over the next number of years. This criteria I've come up with is 3 categories, and those categories are function, versatility, and longevity. Now, those are terms that I've picked based on my personal style. If you are going to do make up this criteria for yourself, you may pick different terms. But my style is pretty laid back. It's pretty casual. I like it to look somewhat clean, be comfortable, but not look sloppy. And being in Vancouver, the overall aesthetic and style of most people around in our neighborhood, especially, it's pretty casual, but people can still look polished. It's by adding accessories, it's by picking a color or a silhouette. So that's a little bit of a background of my aesthetic. And I'm a stay-at-home mom, so that's what I'm doing the majority of the time. So I definitely lean into more functional side of things. I need to be able to run around with my daughter, but also want to kind of look good while I'm doing it as well. So the first category, function. What function means to me is, how will this garment interact with my body? Will it allow me to do my daily activities? Is there potential for it to hinder my movement at all? So characteristics of a garment that will kind of affect whether that question can be answered or not are things like the size, the amount of ease, whether that be positive or negative, overall body length, sleeve length, and sleeve circumference. I am much more picky about sleeves than body length. I apologize if you hear some background noise. It is warm in the apartment, so there's window open. Because also this door shut because my husband is working from home today. So I'm trying to not disrupt him, but also not be disrupted by him myself. So yes, my sleeves. If you haven't been following along, so I have this thing with my sleeves that I like to have them rolled up. But I don't like wearing 3/4 sleeves. Like I would never knit a 3/4 sleeve length. But then I also don't like my sleeves too long because then it affects my ability to push my sleeves up. So yeah, you can see this applies to knitwear and any clothing I have. Body length, yeah, I'm still particular about that, but I feel like I have more of a tolerance if the body length isn't exactly right. So those are things that affect how the garment's going to feel on me, how I'm going to be able to move in it. If something is too oversized, if there's too much fabric, that can actually get in the way with my daily activities, like playing in the playground with my daughter or washing the dishes. Even if the sleeves are too wide and I can't roll them up, then they're going to get wet probably while I'm washing dishes. Versatility is the second category, and this could also be thought of the needs to look good in most situations. This applies to how many outfits can I create with this garment, and also where can I wear this? Can I wear this something comfortably at home, just hanging out with my family? Or does it also have the potential of, put on a nice trouser, nice jewelry, and dress up, go out for dinner with the in-laws or friends and such? There are particular design elements of a garment that can affect the versatility as well. So ideally, I'd like to wear a garment. I try to make it so that it can be worn about 6 months of the year. So I think about more so temperature and not strictly saying like this is a winter garment, this is a summer garment. It's more so how I think about it is, well, if it gets cool enough in a summer evening or a summer night, then I can still wear a wool sweater. Or in winter, if it's warm enough inside or, it's not that cold outside, I could also still wear that same wool sweater. However, if that sweater has a turtleneck, that for me, where I live, the temperatures that we have in spring and summer, that turtleneck is definitely going to limit wear for the fall and winter months. I think it goes without saying that, obviously a turtleneck increases warmth, though. That's not something that's going to be very comfortable to wear when it heats up in spring, 20 plus degrees Celsius here. And that doesn't mean I don't want to knit a turtleneck, but that is a factor or consideration about how versatile I want the piece to be. The last thing I want to say about versatility also is going to kind of lead me into the last category, and that is color. Now, there are particular colors that I just don't wear, like certain reds I just don't wear, and certain greens. Even though green is my absolute favorite color, it's limited to particular kind of greens. But what I find hard about wearing those colors is that I don't find them particularly very flattering, and I also strongly associate them with Christmas time. So I actually do own a store-bought red sweater. It's not particularly like Christmas red, and the fit of it, like it is probably one of my best fitting store-bought sweaters. It's the perfect little crop length. It doesn't have a lot of positive ease. It's a raglan style sweater, but the color of it makes it, it's something thing I consider more Christmassy. It's my go-to Christmas sweater, and I only wear it in the month of December. So if I'm going to make something that I want to wear potentially 6 months out of the year across different seasons, it's not going to be red, like Christmas red. Same goes for particular greens. If it's a real like forest, fir green, evergreen tree green, I also have associations with Christmas for that. There's also the notion of trendy colors. I'm not even going to try to tell you what's hot right now because I don't follow any trends. I don't really know what's trendy unless I were to really like think about it or look it up, but it's not something I follow, and it's not something I really want to follow. I don't want to be someone who dresses based on the trends, hence why I have this criteria of adding clothing that's going to last me years and years and still look good after years and years. So that leads me to the final category, which is longevity. Now, longevity is two parts. So it's part, is it too trendy, as in the color or even the design of the garment? And the other side being fiber choice or like stitch pattern choice. I've been knitting for less than 5 years, and I think my oldest knit garment might only be 3 years max. So at this point, I cannot confidently say like, yes, this yarn choice is a durable choice. It's going to last you for years and years. I cannot honestly say that at this point. I don't think that's a long enough time to give a full review, an opinion on durability, longevity of a particular yarn. So at this time, I'm really leaning into whether this style is too trendy or not. So I definitely want something to be more classic or timeless if this is going to be something in my wardrobe for many years to come. So that's the criteria I'm using to help me choose what to knit, in terms of what's going to be welcomed into my wardrobe. So next I wanted to actually run through this process with a pattern that I think I'm going to purchase and knit up. So I haven't actually gone through all 3 categories with this, so it's kind of, I'm going to be doing this live with you guys. But before we jump into that, I want to go into again, kind of recap my style. So I tend to wear neutral colors. They're also more versatile and easy to mix and match. I'm relatively casual. 99% of the time you will find me in blue denim jeans, usually high waist or even extra high waisted. I don't wear any low waist pants, low waist jeans. That's what I did in high school, and I don't want to go back to that. In terms of ease, I do wear some oversized items, but I also like things with negative ease as well. So kind of a range of that. Depends what it is. Like I would tend to wear maybe slightly looser pants, but I mean today I'm wearing like a fitted cropped sleeveless shirt. And I said before, I definitely don't want to wear anything too trendy. Sometimes I do occasionally buy stuff from the stores that, oh, that looks cool. Because I'm impulsive and it happens. I'm not perfect. But yeah, I try to stay away from trends. And there's also this kind of conflict I have of, you know, this could apply to store-bought items as well, but I see a design, it looks beautiful or it just looks so cool, but I don't know if I would necessarily wear it. So there's this battle between of thinking like what I think I want to look like as well versus what I actually wear. So that is something that I have to try to remind myself as well, like, oh, that looks good, but maybe not actually for my wardrobe. That just might be for like the fun knits that I do. Okay, so the garment or the pattern I'm considering of doing is a PetiteKnit pattern. Sorry guys. I feel like everyone says this though when they mention PetiteKnit, like sorry. But I mean, she's just all over in my Instagram feed, and so I think it's just because of frequency. I just see her all the time. I like the look of her lifestyle, her style, and everything, so it works for me. So the pattern from her I'm looking at is the Elisabeth blouse. So the Elisabeth blouse is a top-down raglan construction garment, long sleeves, and it's got an open kind of like polo styled neck, but there's no buttons to close it. So very relaxed. And the way that it's open like that versus her mod tee, which is a pattern built with buttons, the openness, and I don't know actually how deep it goes, but having it kind of open like that with the combination of, you know, the right kind of amount of ease, I think adds a bit more femininity to what I would typically consider to be a more masculine style. I also say that because I see my husband wears a lot of polos, like for work anyways, like polo with button up and the short sleeve. It's like what my husband wears like half of the week. Yes, so when I was looking at this pattern, first, in terms of function, I was happy to see that it's not an oversized garment. It's actually relatively close fitting compared to some of the other sweater patterns or top patterns that she's come out with. So, I mean, for me, with my size, like, yes, I can pretty much go into any store and buy something that will fit me. And a lot of the knitting patterns, yes, my size is available. But I also find that I like some of her designs, but not necessarily the amount of ease. But then I already knit the smallest size, so I can't size down. And I don't think my size should be the smallest size, because I'm small, but I'm not that small. But anyways, I was happy to see that there isn't a huge amount of ease in this one. Like, I could potentially knit a small instead of an extra small. Like, wow, that's kind of a big deal for me. And if you're thinking like, yeah, I know plus size people have a lot of issues. I mean, they don't even get included in some of the sizes, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, I'm just speaking from my own experience of being on the opposite spectrum, the small spectrum. Because there are people like Sophie, the Knit Pull Girl, and Laura, Penrose Knits. Their patterns actually are offered in sizes smaller than my bust size. So if they can do it, I wish more people could do it as well, because then it gives me more options. But anyways, I'm gonna don't throw me any sympathy there. That's just my thing. And that's based on my preference of fit, not necessarily that there's anything wrong with the PetiteKnit patterns with that size. It's like she's designed them with that amount of ease. It's on me whether I want to knit it up with that amount of ease. Okay, let's get off that tangent. So I said I was happy with the amount of ease, and of course body length and sleeve length are things that are going to be relatively easy to modify. Also, with it being raglan construction, I'm super comfortable and familiar with that construction, so I can easily like kind of manipulate the numbers if I need to. But based on how it looks on her, the sample, I think it's dark blue sample, I like it. And actually, in sort of preparation of deciding if I was going to pick this, there was a sale at the Gap. I buy stuff from the Gap because that's where I buy a lot of my daughter's clothing, so then I kind of peek at the women's side too. But I bought a very similar top. The one I bought has drop shoulder construction, however. I bought it because it was on sale, because I wanted to kind of test out whether I would like wearing a polo style top, and turns out I can style it and I do like it, and I have been wearing it, so I'm ready to make a better fitting knit version of it. So function wise, I think this garment meets my criteria. Not a lot of ease, not huge sleeves, so I'm gonna be able to do the dishes, but I think I also could dress this up and go to a brew pub with my husband, or, you know, casual dinner with the in-laws. I think it's going to work for those. So that gets us into versatility. Now, I already said that I could dress this up, dress this down. Now, in terms of color, I'm still trying to think about what color. I actually have already bought some yarn. It is Sandnes Garn Sunday in the color, I want to say it's called Dusty Olive. I will put some footage up for you guys so you can see it. So I bought this with the intent that I would hold it double because Sunday is a fingering weight yarn. I do not want to hold a strand of mohair or any sort of fuzzy fiber, because without the fuzzy fiber, I will be able to wear this in the spring and summer months. So I'm going to try to get close to gauge by holding Sunday double if I decide to indeed go with that color choice. Now, I did express that I have trouble wearing green, but this is not necessarily speaks Christmas green to me. I'm gonna grab one of Darcy's toy. I'm in my daughter's room today. When I say Christmas green, I mean like this kind of almost cheesy, like kind of bright green, like almost like even like St. Patrick's Day green. Like, no, I need it to be like darker. I need it to be like dustier, and then I can wear that green without it speaking too much Christmas. So more on the versatility of the Elisabeth blouse. Since I am planning on holding Sunday double, no fuzzy strand, this is something that can be worn on its own in the spring and summer months. So I think it's light enough that I could even layer this under a bulky sweater, or it's going to fit under my jackets. But I also think it's just heavy enough that I'll be able to wear this over some camisoles as well if I just want extra layers. So the layering factor is really good with this garment. In terms of longevity, Sunday is a pretty relatively like nicely tight spun yarn. And the gauge, I mean, I haven't swatched this yet, but I feel like the snag factor is at a regular risk. What I call the snag factor is really just like, as it sounds, like, will your shirt get snagged? Obviously, something that's a smaller gauge or tighter knit has less of a risk depending on where you're wearing this. Yeah, I find that if the gauge is too loose, then like when my daughter grabs me and stuff, like she'll pull the yarn and things like that. So that's why I think about snag factor. And also just when I'm not paying attention, if I'm at the playground, I'm rubbing against trees and things, like, anyways. So that's also something I consider for longevity. Like, does it have a really loose gauge? Is it really lacy or open? So not an issue with this garment. Next, the design. I mean, how long have polo style colored shirts been around? Like, forever. Well, obviously not forever, but I decided to do a quick Google search. Now, this is by no means a proper academic search into the history of the polo shirt. This is simply what just came up on Google, the first results. And yeah, let's look on Wikipedia, the thing that most teachers say, don't use Wikipedia as one of your references, students. Anyways, here you can see it's actually worn by polo players originally in India in 1859 and Great Britain during the 1920s. So, well, it's been around for over 100 years. Didn't know that. Now you know. So I don't see that going away. So I see that more as being more of a classic or a timeless piece in my wardrobe. So some hesitations about making this. This might be something that it's gonna boil down to what size I decide to knit and if I alter the positive ease. I want it to be kind of relaxed fit. I don't want it to be too oversized. don't want to be too fitted, and I also don't want to look like I'm going to play golf. Because I also have an association of that kind of collar style with golf players. I am not a golf player, so I don't want to look like one as well. I don't want to look too preppy either, because I also have that association with these collars. But yeah, am I overthinking this? But anyways, so based on all that, I'm pretty confident that that's going to be one of my next cast-ons. You know, I haven't purchased the pattern yet, so I've got some time to change my mind. I've also got some time to change my mind about yarn if I want to, because if I push this back, perhaps I'll find yarn at Flock and Fiber Festival, which I'll be going to in August, and then Knit City's coming up in September. So anyways, that is kind of my process of what I'm using to pick what to knit next for my wardrobe. Do you guys have a criteria? I know this can kind of seem like a lot of thinking, maybe quite analytical, but this is just a product of who I am. I'm quite analytical, and a lot of the things I choose to whether buy or do, it's also the way my husband is. I think that's part of why we get along, and it's how we make decisions together, because we think similarly about these processes. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do you have a criteria? Do you just kind of choose what's catching your eye? Let me know in the comments. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next one. So until next time, happy knitting, guys. Bye.